Well, hello again, everybody. Mike Pavlik here, and time for another season of Highlands football. Will be starting off next Friday night. I'd like to come at you here on YouTube today and give you guys a little preview of what we have to come. Our games, of course, will be back right here on YouTube, Highlands High Sports. Make sure to click the subscribe button and the bell to get notifications. And, of course, on Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock, Comcast, Channel 190. Well, we've had some changes back in the spring. Dom Girardi resigned as head coach. After 5 years, he did a good job. He had 3 winning seasons, and it's never easy replacing a legend as Dom replaced Sam Albert, who had gone on to Kiski. So Dom and got rid of the playoff drought here last year, getting into the playoffs before losing to Newcastle. So Dom was great to work with. What a great guy, and we wish him nothing but the best in the future, and I'm sure we'll be seeing him on the sidelines again. Well, the new coach is an old face, and that's Matt Bonislawski, and he was the athletic director at the school from 2006 through 2013, and most recently was the head coach at Riverview in 2016 and 2017. He worked on Sam Albert's staff back when Sam was still at Highlands. So Bones is back, of course, probably most remembered for that great playoff run in 2001 when the number 16 Rams went to number 1 Uniontown and knocked them off 30-20 in the playoff game down there, before going on, trailing by 15 points against Moon and Elizabeth Forward at halftime, bringing them back to win on a Chris Catoni field goal, 23-22, before finally falling to West Allegheny and Tyler Palco at West Mifflin in the semifinals. So Bones is no stranger. He's got a good squad returning, a lot of players back, especially on the offensive side. Chandler Timmons at quarterback, Luke Bonislawski, Landon Signorella will all be back. Tyler Bender will be back. All those guys will play both sides of the ball, and we expect a good season of Highlands football. Well, we got to talk about conferences now because, of course, it was time to redo the conferences, and Highlands has stayed in the Greater Allegheny, but there have been some changes to the conference. Highlands, Hampton, Armstrong, Indiana, and Mars all return. All of those teams but Mars made the playoffs last year. Leaving the conference this year will be Plum. They've moved up to 5A. Greensburg-Salem's dropped to 3A, and Knock has dropped to 3A. So we have a couple of teams coming in. Kiski, down from 5A. We mentioned Sam Albert. We'll be seeing Sam. It'll be the first time he's played against Highlands since he was the coach at Freeport. And also coming in will be North Catholic, coming up from 3A, and they have just been a juggernaut as of late in the 3A classification, and we'll see if Coach Pat O'Shea can bring all that magic up to 4A in the Greater Allegheny Conference. The Rams were 7-4 a year ago. We mentioned they made the playoffs before bowing out to Newcastle, 31-19. So they will bring a playoff team back. A lot of players will be back, and we'll see how things work out for them. So let's go through the schedule now real quick and tell you who we're going to be seeing. We mentioned we'll be opening up on Friday night, August the 26th at home against University Prep. That's a rematch of last year's game. The Rams won that one 27-0 on opening night last year at Golden Rams Stadium. Coach Lou Berry will bring his Panthers in to Golden Rams Stadium. Lou Berry, the only coach that University Prep has ever known in his 12th season. The Rams defense was dominant in that game last year, holding Prep to only 48 total yards and only 3 first downs in that game. Luke Bonislawski, 133 on the ground. So the Rams ran for 230. Chandler ran for 97 himself. So they had a dominant performance against them last year, and Matt Bonislawski's first game, we'll see if he is able to replicate that. So week 1 will be September 2nd, also at home at Highlands against Blackhawk. Blackhawk coming out of the 4A Parkway Conference. That's who we'll be crossing with this year, and we'll catch a road trip here coming up soon. I'm sure you'll like that. Zach Hayward, the coach in his 5th season, the former great running back for Coach Joe Hamilton there. They've missed the playoffs the last 2 years. The last 2 times they had played, Blackhawk has won both at Highlands in 2018 and at Blackhawk in 2019. So the last time the Rams were able to beat Blackhawk was at Geneva a few years ago on a Saturday night when they hung a 50-burger on and beaten them 56-12. So we'll see what happens there. Blackhawk will be in on September 2nd. Week 2, we told you about road trips, at Shar Valley. For the first time in our memory, that we'll be playing the Shar Valley Colts. We have been to Shar Valley recently for a playoff game in 2013. If you remember, playing Thomas Jefferson, the Rams were losers in that game, 23-14. Some guy named Chase Winovich had a big game, and you may recognize him. He has had a great career on the defensive side of the ball with the New England Patriots, and moving on this year to Cleveland. So that will be week 2 at Shar Valley against the Colts and their new coach, Aaron Fitzpatrick, a Geneva grad. Hello, Tyler Stachinsky. And they may know each other. The ages kind of match up, so we'll be checking on that with Aaron Fitzpatrick. First conference game will come up on week 3, Friday night, September the 16th, against the North Catholic Trojans. We mentioned Pat O'Shea, and they have been ridiculous here the last few years. They lost to Central Valley in the 3A championship game a year ago. In Pat O'Shea's 5 years, he's won 5 conference titles. Their conference record is 34-1. They have won 25 consecutive conference games, but their record in the playoffs is 6-5. So that's where they've kind of fallen. They have not won a championship in 3A. They will move up to 4A this year, and it kind of reminder of when South Fayette moved up when we were in Northwest 9 a few years ago, which was basically the old Parkway Conference, and they had come up after having a lot of success down below in the old 4 classes in AA. So that's kind of what this reminds you of in North Catholic. But they come in, and they will be, of course, a force to reckon with. Week 4, September 23rd, the Rams will play at Indiana, just as they did last year, and they hope to forget that game. They lost 29-14, gave up 232 on the ground, and Devin Flint, the quarterback, was tremendous. Indiana also blocked a punt for a touchdown. They will have a first-year coach. Brandon Overdorf is out. Bradley Wright is in. It'll be his first year. He's a Katanning graduate, and he will lead the Indiana Indians in that Week 4 matchup against Highlands on September the 23rd. September 30th, Week 5, the Mars Planets will come into Highlands, and there's lots of changes at Mars. Scott Heinauer is out, both as athletic director and head football coach, and Eric Kasparovich is in, the former North Hills quarterback, Pitt defensive back, and of course, most recently, very successful coach at Pine Richland. However, things didn't go well at the end at Pine Richland. He was fired as coach after some supposed incidents that went on there, but he is back. He will be the new head coach at Mars. He won 4 WPIAL titles at Pine Richland and 2 PIAA championships. He was 85-18 there. So Kasparovich will take over for Scott Heinauer, who won 203 games as the head coach of Mars in 31 years, and he is off into retirement. Although I did notice Scott said he's going to take the year off and maybe think, and he said he did have some offers to come back. He may think about coming back into coaching next year. Last year's game, the Rams won at Mars 22-7, a 7-7 halftime, but the Rams dominated the second half. Chandler Timmons hit Landon Signorello on 2 long touchdowns of 26 and 59 yards. Luke Bonislawski ran for 144, and the Rams were able to win that game and break their skid against the Mars Planets. Got another new one. The Dean's going to be thrilled. At the Wolverina at Woodland Hills, Week 6, October 7th, in another non-conference game. Tim Bostard in his 6th season, who of course replaced the legendary George Novak. Ostensibly, there were some issues in between. They had hired a different coach, and then he was sent packing before he ever coached a game. George Novak, 30 years at Woodland Hills, 6 WPIL championships. Tim Bostard's been there for 5 years, made the playoffs 4 times. So they will be playing 5A ball, of course, this year. Woodland Hills and Highlands will go there and visit the Wolverina in Week 6. Week 7, the Kiski Cavaliers, new entrant into the Greater Allegheny Conference under 6th-year coach, can you believe this? 6th-year coach Sam Albert, author of 149 wins. Kiski did not make the playoffs a year ago. They won their first 5, but then lost 4 of their last 5. Sam Albert, in 13 years as the head coach at Highlands, won 74 games. He's the all-time winningest coach at Highlands. Most playoff games, most playoff wins. You name it, he's got the records at Highlands. But he is now at Kiski, and that'll be kind of a homecoming. First trip to the new stadium in Kiski. They play on high school campus out in Allegheny Township now and no longer at Davis Field in Vandergrift. Then we'll go to Week 8. Armstrong, the Riverhawks, will be back in Highlands. Frank Fabian in his 11th season at Katanning / Armstrong. Frank, of course, is a Ford City grad. We had Bradley Wright, now the coach at Indiana, who's a Katanning grad. So the Rams have had good success against Armstrong. Frank Fabian's never beaten Highlands. He's 0-2 in Armstrong, 0-1 in Katanning. They made the first playoffs in school history last year. They finished second in the Greater Allegheny Conference to conference champion Hampton, who we'll be getting to here shortly. The Rams beat them 41-27. It was a game the Rams had to win. They won that game, and that was the difference that got them into the playoffs. Chandler was 14 for 19, 208 yards, and a touchdown, and also ran 17 times for 143 yards. Chandler 2-0 against Caden Olson, the great quarterback at Armstrong. The Rams will try to make it 3 straight in that category this year at Highlands, October 21st. Then the final regular season game, always a big closer, at Hampton. Every year these two teams have played since 2000, the winner of this game has made the playoffs. It's like clockwork. So we'll say it right now. The winner of the Highlands-Hampton game will make the playoffs. Sometimes a loser goes too, but this will be another big matchup, and they have some changes. Jock DiMatteo has stepped down after a 14-season stint as head coach at Hampton. Steve Shulo takes over for him. He's in the building at Hampton, been a teacher there, but you may remember him. He was the coach at Deer Lakes for a while, and when we were in AA in the Allegheny Conference, that football, by the way. It was when we played Deer Lakes last, and Steve Shulo was the coach there. The Hampton Talbots beat Highlands last year at Highlands 27-7. There was a controversial fumble on a Luke Bonislawski play at the end of the first half, and the game was close at the time, and it was 10-0. That made it 17-0. The Rams were never able to come back from that and did not recover. Steve Shulo, 4 years as the coach of the Lancers, made the playoffs in 2015, the year of the deer, if you remember, 6-4 in that season, and that was a great year for the Lancers. So that's the schedule and how everything sets up for us this year. Remember, Mike Choma and I will be on the air. The opening game against University Prep on Friday night, August the 26th at Golden Ram Stadium. 20th birthday for Golden Ram Stadium. We'll celebrate it that night. Can you believe it's been 20 years? Bones never played a game at Golden Ram Stadium. Interesting to note. His final senior season was at the Nick next door, and when the Rams made the playoffs that year, and he took them on that run. So we'll see what happens. Scrimmage coming up this Saturday at 10 a.m. at Shaler if anyone's interested in going to see that. And the Rams will be at home to open it up Friday night, the 26th of August against University Prep. Week 0 non-conference action. We'd love to see you there. Again, remember, Highlands High Sports, where you're watching this right now on YouTube. Click the subscribe button. Also, click the notification bell. Anytime a video goes up, you will be notified as to what's going on there. And then also, Comcast, Channel 190, Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. So we hope to see you at the opener against University Prep. For now, this is Mike Pavlik. So long, everybody.